Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Remo. If it's your first time here, thank you for clicking on this video. If you are a returning subscriber, I love you. Thank you so much for the support. So today's video, you guys, I told you I'm changing things up, trying to spruce up this YouTube channel. Today I have a guest and I'm all about telling stories about women and empowering them and just telling stories about women who are doing some dope things. So on this episode, and I'm gonna make it consistent, I'm gonna be having some guests. My first guest is one and only, my best friend, the one and only. She's a great mom. She's a great wife. She's an even better friend, and she's my bestie. Help me welcome Mrs. Chef Glo.
So excited to be here at Remo Kingori. Listen, make sure you hit that red subscription button right there and the notification bell so you can get notified every time she uploads a video. I am obsessed with this channel and I'm so glad to be here. I'm excited. Let's do this.
Chef Glo, my bestie. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, yes. So good. And she brought some goodies for us. Well, for me.
Yeah.
Let's unbox it. This looks so good. Yes. So let me preface this by saying she is DFW's most favorite, most sought after baker. This girl's cakes. By the way, check out her Instagram, her page, her Instagram page. Mm-hmm.
Cakes by Glo.
Cakes by Glo, yes. And see the designs. Not even just the designs, like the flavors and everything is just so good. And she's very, very professional. Like, I love your work, love your cakes. You don't go anywhere else for cakes in this DFW. So she brought us a cake.
Yes, I did.
And we're gonna make some chai because y'all know me. I love
chai lazima.
And then we're gonna have a conversation.
Yes.
So let's see what you brought.
Okay, so I brought. Remo has several flavors that she loves, but I think her toppest ones is usually strawberry cream from Nothing Bundt Cakes, which is a crime. And then her other favorite cake for me would be the red velvet cake. Yeah. But today I made her a lemon vanilla cake with cream cheese frosting.
Oh my God. Yes. Cream cheese frosting is my absolute favorite frosting in the whole wide world.
Look
at that.
And
my God.
I'm gonna add a little topper there to make it shabazz.
You know what I love about your cakes, Glo?
Yes.
It's the simplicity of the sophistication. If you know what like that. It's so simple, but so beautiful. Like, you guys, look at that cake. Look at that cake, y'all.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing. And these are macarons.
Cookies.
Cannot wait to dive into this.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and make a cup of tea.
Sure.
And then we can sit down
and talk.
You know me with my lactose-free milk. This time around I went to HEB because I'm trying out new stores. So we're gonna make some chai.
Where? As my first lactose-free tea. Let me see the secrets.
So how do you make your tea, Glo?
All milk. What is water? Drops of water, not floodgates of water. Just drops of water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's turn on the stove.
No problem.
And then let's measure. Try and make exactly 2 cups of tea.
Cups of tea. Awesome. That looks creamy, surprisingly.
It looks good, and it's very nice, by the way. I really do like the lactose-free.
I like it.
I love it, love it, love it. My gut has really been loving it.
Nice.
So, unfortunately, Horizon Milk still makes the best tea, but it's not the best one.
Your stomach has said,
yes.
Surely.
I know. So, Glo, tell us a little bit about yourself, like,
right.
Who is Glo? Who is Glo?
So I am a wife first. Well, daughter of the King, Jesus. Mm-hmm. And then I'm a wife to the one and only Dr. Kaspanjaguna. Shout out to you, babe.
Yes.
I am a mother of 2 beautiful, gorgeous girls, Gabriella and Hope. A little bit about my background. So I graduated with my bachelor's degree in culinary management at the Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts back in 2014.
Oh
14.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nimeishi miaka.
Sisi ni
Sitting
wazee.
was there, man. But so I graduated from culinary school, started working. I did an internship when I was in school. Did an internship over at Disney World in Florida for about 3 to 4 months. Yeah, it was where it was. But it was such a great experience because when I came back, I became a personal chef for one of my favorite families. Her name was Miss Gail McWilliams, but she passed away. So I worked for her for about 2 to 3 years. And then I transitioned to work at Chick-fil-A, where I got to become a kitchen manager for about 9 months. And then God said, enough is enough. We want you to stay home because at that point I was expecting Gabriella.
Oh.
So yeah, that's a little bit about my background. Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's a really, really interesting journey. Like you know, those looking at those seasons that God has had you on, man, it's always good to step back and see the journey because it kind of reflects into, okay, God has helped me move through all these seasons.
Right.
The future only gets better.
It gets sweeter and better.
It only gets better.
Oh yeah.
So you are a Kenyan American.
Yes, I am.
Do you remember how old were you when you and your family moved from Kenya to here?
Right.
And how was the transition for you? How was school life? How did you have any culture shocks?
Right.
How was that whole like first month of being in a whole new place?
Yes. So when we moved here, I was actually about to turn 15. So I moved here when I was about to sit for my KCPE. So niliponyoka KCPE.
Lucky you.
Me, I was the lucky one. Because I was in class 7 preparing to go to January to start preps for KCPE, class 8. So we moved here when I was fairly young. So I think the culture shock for me mainly was school because life-wise, I didn't really grow up in Kenya. I did majority of my teenagehood growing up here.
In America,
so in Kenya, the culture shock between Kenya and here was education. It was a year behind. So I was ahead of my classmates. So I would sit in class and the teachers were like, we need to test this one because of this one. She's getting, like, I was honestly getting bored in the classes I was in. So I took this test and they put me in straight direct to 8th grade.
Okay.
So I did 8th grade here throughout high school, which was an experience and a half because talk about being bullied. This one was bullied. I think all of 8th grade, the second semester of 8th grade, I was really bullied. Just because of like being so different from, because you're not African American, you're African, so you're distinct. You have a distinction about you, you know. So it was a bit different. Thank God, God has gifted me with a very good gift of befriending, making friends quickly.
You do.
So I got a hold of one of my friends in high school. Her name was Monica. She also passed away recently, actually. So we were quick friends, and she told me the law of the land. Because also she was an immigrant too. Okay. So she taught me the law of the land, the systems here. By the time I was going to high school, I was on top of the game. No one can bully me. Man, so yeah, that was the culture shock. And then of course, educational wise, like, where have you heard, Ati, you do an exam with an open book? Teacher's notes. In what system? Calculator in your math class. How? Where? So that was the culture shock when I came here. It was more of like everything is just handed to you. It's now for you to decide if you want to work hard. It's up to you to decide if you want to sleep in class. So even college was the same thing. College, you can just show up for your finals. Like, what?
And then they give you multiple choice.
Multiple choice. Ha! Wapi. So that was the process when I was in between, the culture shock between Kenya and here.
So is it the stuff that we see in movies, all those high school musicals and whatever? Like, is that stuff actually what happens in high school? Like,
kind of. There's cliques in high school. Like there's like the jocks, and you have the nerds, and you have the cheerleading squad, and you have like the mathletes and the different leagues in school. There's the president of debate. I mean, there's so many like clubs in high school, which kind of prepares you for college, because also when you go to
Right.
college, you want to get into a club. So that way
Yeah.
there's also a process of like scholarships that you can get when you're like in the cheerleading squad or the football team or basketball team. So yeah, the stuff you see in the movies, it happens in high school. Oh yes, it does. Some of it.
Oh wow, wow, man,
Yes.
that's interesting. I really wanted to come to America, like
Yeah.
to do like maybe high school here.
Right.
God didn't make it happen, but
Yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting cycle to see the Kenyan education and how
Yeah.
much it prepped you for
Yes.
there's that difference, and I think that's why a lot of immigrant kids when they come here they do so well, but I said
Yes.
like they usually like almost a year ahead.
Yes.
And also I feel like the Kenyan system really teaches you how to study hard. Like nothing is
does.
given to you.
No.
Nothing is handed to
Yeah.
you. You have to work hard.
Yeah. Definitely.
That is the one thing I've learned about the American system.
Yeah.
Man, some things may have be so easily handed to you. It is for you, as Glo has said, to really to work hard to get in.
Yes.
We'll pause there a little bit. I need to put some
No problem
in here.
All right. Unless you want masala.
I'm good. I've had enough masala.
Me too.
Masala mingi sana.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough.
Akakijiko. You cook it just like me.
The problem with this, I never know how much how much
leaves you put until it boils. You're like, that's too brown.
I know.
Add more milk.
Add more milk.
No, that's perfect.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Glo,
yes.
Tell us how when you became a mom,
yeah,
how was it transitioning from being employed to self-employed, where you now I'm gonna build this business? How has you building your catering business been like? How has the journey been like for you?
I'll start first by saying when it comes to being married, having kids, and pursuing entrepreneurship or being in career, you have to prioritize everything.
Right.
So you have to have like not a schedule per se, but just like a culture in your home whereby it's like a system that you have where and God honestly just downloads that strategic method for you to be able to balance between you being a mom, you being a wife, you being a businesswoman, you being a career woman. God really gives you like the grace to be able to handle everything.
Right.
So the first thing I did was I really seek God about, even with the catering business, I really seek God in the beginning because I had just quit the job at Chick-fil-A. I had some medical issues that did not allow me to work anymore. So I had to now stay home, give birth to Gabriella, then stay home for that maternity leave. And then, you know me, and for those who know me, I am a busybody. I cannot stay still. I can't. It is not part of my personality. I cannot sit still.
It's hard.
It's hard to sit still. Like I remember the first day I quit my job, and it was that Monday. I did all my house chores, and I'm like,
what next?
Now what? Like Tuesday is rolling up, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you have to honestly like kind of come up with a schedule. And I think I told you this when you had first gotten married, to try to have like a schedule for yourself. So one, you don't drop a ball somewhere. You don't drop a ball in your house chores or drop a ball in your marriage. Like you have to really like plan yourself out. So that way, one, you don't get burnt out. Two, you don't get depressed, because there are a lot of women, moms who do go through depression, and you don't get overwhelmed. And great thing about our partners, you and Willie and me and Casper, is that they're very hands-on. So there's having partners like that, it really does help a lot, with doing things, around the house and taking care of the kids. But I remember when I actually did decide to open the catering business, had actually opened it earlier on in 2018, just to kind of have something to do as a side thing, as my husband was also working. So did that for a while, did that all of 2019, and then COVID hit.
Oh, COVID.
And then COVID said, oh, you thought. And it hit right when I literally because we were shut down in March, like close, like halfway into March.
Towards the end,
So I had a wedding in April. I had another wedding in September that I had.
You had our wedding in June.
Yours wedding in June. So there were so many things like,
Oh wow.
you know, for catering that I had like God, you know, when you make plans, God says, you think. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, I was like, okay, God, now I really have to sit down and figure out what you want for me, because it's not really about me. It's about what God wants for you, like your purpose, and the purpose and the will that He has for you is now what you seek Him about. Because you just can't lavagant in this world in your own will. No, you have to align yourself with what God wants for you, as you know, as His purpose. So I sat down and I thought, okay, now I have to close this. I don't know how to actually do that, because I had built such a huge clientele for catering. Actually, to backtrack a little bit, 2018, Gabriella was turning 1.
Yeah.
She's allergic to all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
and that time they didn't have vegan, they didn't have anything plant-based like how they do nowadays.
Yeah.
So now I had to figure out how to make her first birthday cake without everything.
Without all
pretty
the
much
dairy.
Everything.
God, poor girl.
So I got on YouTube University and I got cracking. I was like, you know what? Other moms do it, I will do it too.
Thank God for you too.
Right? So I cracked down. I actually made a cake for her birthday. She loved it. People who came for her birthday ate the vegan cake or the plant-based cake, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And when they loved it, they were like, "Glo, you have something here." But in the back of my mind, I was like, how? Because back in culinary school, baking and breads, they call it bread and baking class, was a class I got a C. Was the least of the least. Like all the grades were A's and B's, but baking, I just did not like flour. I make chapos.
Yeah, she makes the best chapos, but she doesn't make them anymore.
No, not no more. Just for Irish and my husband. So of course I make chapos, but anything to do with like precise measurements of like this cup of flour, this much butter was a headache. I was like, I can't. I could not do it. It was not baking. It was not.
Oh,
so now my friends really hyping me up with the plant-based cake. One of the ladies at church, she's a friend of mine. Her name is Nancy Njao. Shout out to you, because I know you will see this video.
Yes,
so
Nancy.
Shout out to you, because she told me, she came on Sunday after church and she told me, hey, by the way, Glo, my daughter's birthday is coming up, Mary's birthday. I want a unicorn cake, but I don't want a plant-based. I want a regular birthday cake. I looked at her in shock, like, what do you mean a regular cake? I literally just made this for my daughter, and that's it. But she was like, I'm not taking no for an answer, Shika. And she gave me money, and I was like, oh, Lord, okay. Now go back to University
God,
of
people
YouTube.
Like that.
Yeah, because she
help us right
definitely. Because after that, it now transitioned to what it is now. From shutting down COVID, and then now I love the scripture that says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Because what happened was, when I started seeking God about the cakes, when I started seeking God about the catering and COVID happened, the part of the scripture that says all these things shall be added unto you, the cakes got added unto me without me realizing that that's actually going to be my niche. Without realizing. So guess what? Now I started doing cakes. All of COVID. Did your wedding. I didn't even think I would even do a tiered cake. Of all things, I just got on. I am a summa cum laude graduate of YouTube University. That is all me. I graduated with honors because what? Self-taught. And I also, under my belt, I got 2 mentors. Your sister, Shiro. My gosh, shout out to you, sis. God, Taji Cakes. I would DM her like in panic. This is what happened to this butter. What should I do? And she would come to my rescue. Like, she gave me free information without having to like strive and panic and say, oh, now what should I do? No, she literally was my mentor all of 2020 and 2021. And she still is. She still says, man.
She's an amazing person. I'm not saying that because she's my sister, but she is just
I can attest to that. I can attest to that.
She is such a giver.
She is.
Because even her, she's also self-taught. I was there when she did.
Too.
I was there when she did her first cake. And now when I see the starter she produces, I'm like, it's not something we have to always do.
Yes.
When God helps you achieve something,
correct,
man, the only thing you can do is pay it forward.
It's true.
Pay it forward. Pay it forward as often as you can, because you never know what you're like building in that person when you do that.
That's true.
That's really good.
Yeah. So from there, it's now what it is now,
Yeah.
and I'm really thankful to God.
The tea is ready.
Tea is ready.
Let's go ahead and serve so
Sure.
we can sit down and eat our
Yes.
Let me pull up some cups.
No problem.
Hey, Maze.
This tea looks
It's a
delicious. So now what I was telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's good.
At least it's not
You
too
didn't
brown.
add. Oh no, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This is perfect. Theo, you are the reason.
He's the reason. I can't even get
What
into
was
my
the
own
reason,
business.
Theo?
Can't even get into my own whatever.
You're fine. That tea looks very satisfying. Where? Should do a close up of that.
I know, right? So we have our tea.
Chai.
Cheers.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Cheers.
Just a good tea.
Oh yeah.
So now that we've talked about the journey that you've come so far, how is balancing, or is there any balance do you feel between like work or other your business and family? How do you make sure that your husband has time, your kids have time, Chef Glo, no, Cakes by Glo have time, and you as Glo have time. And the church has time. Your siblings and your parents have time.
And best friend time.
And all the things, because you do a lot. You do a lot for people.
Yeah.
How is that balance? And is there anything like balance? Like, is it possible to achieve a balance?
It's not really possible. Like I'll use Miriam. I know you'll watch this as an example. She taught me, or rather, she told me that when you have a family, they come first.
Yeah.
So Casper comes first. Gabrielle and Hope come 1st. So everything else is literally an add-on.
Yeah.
And God has a way of, like the way I said about him adding grace for you, is the same way he does with even scheduling, or rather planning out. You just have to, when you've become intentional. I'll say this: when my dad passed away, I became very intentional with everyone around me, because you never know. Time is, you don't have time. Yeah. Exactly. So because of that, I made it my life goal to prioritize, or rather to be intentional with my family, and then of course my mom and my brothers, and then my friends. I had to make sure that I'm intentional, and also being intentional also with my own time, with my own I guess self-care, right?
Yeah.
So my self-care begins from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. when you're watching that series.
Oh my god!
I think that's the only, really time you have in the day for yourself.
That's true.
Or when you wake up really early in the morning to also, because you do have to spend time with God.
That's true.
So I think the first thing I do when I wake up is to spend that quality time with God, regardless of if the girls are awake or not. Just to have my devotion, spend time with God, and then begin my day.
That time is very non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
Wow.
So it's just in 24 hours, I trust me, in 24 hours, 7 days a week, you do have time for others. You do have time for your spouse. You do have time for your kids. You do have time for your friends. You just have to schedule yourself, or rather plan yourself in a way, like I said, where you won't drop the ball on anyone.
Right.
And even if the ball is dropped, to even recognize it and acknowledge that a ball was dropped, and you accept it and you say, you know what? Okay, this, I'm going to work on it.
Right. Yeah. And I think you said something so important when we're making the tea. We have very supportive partners.
Yes.
Because I don't think we're living in the time where, like, back in the days, especially Kenyan men, like they never dealt with children. They never held children. They never took care of children. It was not in their books to do that.
That's true.
But now, like, you can leave, even right now, at this moment for you to do this. Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Having that supportive spouse and being able to be like, okay, I just need to go get my nails done real quick. I'll be right back.
Right.
That is key.
Yes.
But I think that balance is so elusive. To be honest, for me, sometimes I feel like it takes a lot. It takes a lot from me to be able to balance like all the things I'm doing.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I guess I'm still trying to find a balance, because as you said, the priority is your husband, your children. Of course, God first, but your husband.
Yeah.
Like by the time I've given time to everything and everybody else, like I just want to sleep.
Right.
I just want to go to sleep.
That's
Like you
it,
said, you have to be very intentional.
Yes.
I think for me, what I do is when I wake up in the morning, I have to tell myself, we're gonna make this intentional.
Yes.
You have to really speak it to your mind. Because women, the way we are wired, we can give 98% of our time to our children and nothing else.
Nothing else. Exactly.
It's a slippery
they're little humans, and you and Jesus have partnered to make sure this human is alive. Is still alive.
Right.
So it's true. You can easily get lost in your kids.
Oh my goodness, you can. You absolutely can. So what are some of the lessons that you have learned in your journey to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a heavy question.
Because I know. Oh, thank you so much.
No problem. It's heavy in terms of I'll let you have a moment.
Thank God. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I know Jesus. I know that's right. Your focus should never be your family and friends, because you will get heartbroken. Or you will receive major character development in business. Where you will receive it, and it's not in a bad way. Honestly, it's really not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's just like when you prioritize and say, "Oh, my first clientele is my family and friends," and then they go with someone else. You're like,
makes you
and
feel
I'm here. Exactly. So it really breaks your heart and actually discourages you in continuing with your business. So I think your first clientele is a stranger, someone you have never met, someone you have no association with. Maybe it's like word by mouth. Someone went and said, "Oh, try this cake or try this chapati." That's even with makeup. Like see one of my friends. This is what they do.
Yeah.
It's perfect strangers who become your best clients.
And that thing about expecting your friends and family to be the one. Yes, you had a business too. I know it. I knows it for sure.
Yes.
But I mean, and it's so sad that people will spend money on Beyonce tickets, which are $1,000, but they will not order a cake from their friend or someone they go to church with.
Right.
I don't know what it is about our society. I think we really need to work on that. Like when be the one supporting your friends, like be the number one. If you can buy Beyonce tickets, how much were they now? Like $1,000 something.
Yeah.
If you can buy $1,000 to go watch Beyonce, honestly, this is our Beyonce. And I think that's a really good. You just remove that expectation. So when they come to you, you just appreciate it.
Yeah, even support is not really necessarily even buying the product, because sometimes you might not be able to afford it at the moment. It's by liking, sharing. Like now, so have you subscribed? Thank you.
Go follow Chef Glo.
It's by supporting. It's by liking a post. It's by sharing a post. It's when you meet up with your friend. You're like, man, that reel you posted, that was the reel you posted the other day was hilarious. I was dying. You were posting. And you were drinking kachai. That was it, man. But yeah, it's by having being honest and the way I just told you, having a conversation and really. I love what Pastor Philip says. He says, "Fanning that flame, fan that flame of your friends, what they're passionate about, because you never know. Oh my gosh, you never know when it's your day.
Exactly.
It's like God, I'm a firm believer in supporting others, because I don't support others because that one day they'll come and support me. The microphone. I don't do that. I try not to do that, because you will get discouraged. You know, now when it's your turn, you're now expecting a massive group of friends to come to your rescue, and then they don't show up. So you have to really, you have to have no expectations and understand that everyone has a different level of, first of all, financial level, life level. Everyone has a different different.
Yeah.
So those friends that will go above and beyond to support you. You have those friends who will support you, yes, but not support you in terms of purchasing your product. And you just honestly be content in that and say it's okay.
And it's okay. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's really true. Removing that expectation from people is just, oh my God, it gives you so much more peace.
It does.
And then you just pray to God that God gives you your the clients that are supposed to be yours,
yeah,
they come and they locate you and they find you.
Exactly.
Man, yeah. Character development.
Serious one.
So let me ask you. So again, because I like to talk about Kenya and America and how they relate.
Yeah.
Do you still feel connected to Kenya? So do you keep in touch? How do you still stay connected, like with your Kenyan roots?
I think with the Kenyan roots, I'll say this. I'll give credit to my parents. One thing they did not allow is for us to be African American. I would remember I was applying for high school and my dad literally on the school application, he wrote, not African American, Kenyan. I am not like, I was like, how am I going to give this to the school? Like, how? It was like, no, turn it in because that's who you are. And also, when you identify when you know your identity also in God, you will never lose your roots where you were born.
That's true.
Even, I'll give an example with my kids. They know all things America. Of course, they're born here. But the one thing I will never allow them to do is lose that roots of them. Of course, by traveling back home, my mom, of course, she's here, is instilling those roots in them. Even with friends, when they hear Kiswahili, they hear Kikuyu around them, they will never, they will know, okay, I am American, but I was born of a Kenyan parent. Absolutely. And of course, not adding pressure, because, you can't, it's not good to add pressure to your kids, especially about language. But it's good to show them that this is actually where you come from, and not being shy about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And you hope that they will connect with it, because I feel it like they're not born there; they're born in America.
Yes.
So they don't have the same connection that we have. Like you are actually born in Kenya, lived there for a couple of years, and moved here.
Yeah.
So you can't expect them to have the same level of like attachment that they have, that you have with Kenya. But as you said, all you can do is tell them where they came from, take them there as often as you can, and just hope and pray that they'll catch on to it. Like they will, and I see it, like I can see, with our parents who came here when they were a lot older.
Yes.
They're very quick to be like, you know what, I'm done going back to Kenya. That's how it's home. But for us, like the children, we're kind of in the middle, like, okay,
like should we go like us millennials in the 90s, 80s and 90s, later 80s. We're stuck between, I love Kenya so much, but listen, like I have a life here too. I've built a life here. Right. So it's hard to say you want to move back, because our parents, I won't lie, they are tired. They are ready to go.
Are ready to
and
go.
That's okay. We can always visit them. They've done their part. Exactly.
Now we have our own family.
They've given us Jesus, food and shelter, and education.
Absolutely.
And they've done their part. So it's time for them to rest, and that's okay. But for us now who are here, it's a bit hard to be able to determine, like, would you want to, maybe later in life you can say, okay, you know what, America, it's been real. We're packing up, moving to Kenya. We can do as a drastic, decision like that, but it's hard. It's hard to decide between which culture to, because also you don't want to give your kids a culture shock, because they've grown up here, all they know is English,
right?
Unless you've been speaking Kikuyu or Kiswahili to them. And if you haven't done that, now what happens when they go to Kenya and their cousins, they're talking to them? It's like
they'll feel so left.
They'll be left out.
They'll be so left out. Yeah. Man, I can only imagine how, that feeling. It's not easy. It is not easy at all. So can you share some of your favorite success stories or like heartwarming experiences Oh
man. Try to remember. I think this is because this channel is about being authentic, right?
Yeah.
So my husband and I had been trying for at least 2 years. Between Gabriella and Hope is a space of about 4 years.
Yeah.
And we'd been trying for a second child. And I remember when I was really, now main focus was cakes in 2021.
Yeah.
And I remember me and you even prayed.
Yeah.
Theo and Hope are
I have it in my prayer journal.
Prayed for.
I have that in my prayer journal. I can pull it out.
Yes. And every time I would get an order, I will not lie to you, Arish, I got orders for baby showers and first birthdays. What? So I think my experience with that, or rather the heartwarming part of that, is that on our 4th anniversary, we ended up pregnant after I did a series of like 6 months of nothing but baby shower cakes, first birthday cakes. And it's not that I felt bad or sad. Of course, you have that inner part of you. It's like, God, I'm doing this. How come I'm not doing this for my own shower, for my own first birthday for my child? Don't get me wrong. I'm so grateful for Gabriella. But in our family, we want to expand. We want to have more kids. So, so I remember when I was working on the cakes, I make these like mold, I make these fondant babies and little blankets on top of the cake. And I remember every time I would make that baby, I would declare like, I'm going to have a baby. Every time I place on the cake, I'm like, I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to have a baby, because you got to speak it in the atmosphere. So, 2021, our 4th anniversary, 2 weeks before anniversary, I took a test and I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. My first phone call was like, honey. Actually, I think I surprised him. I didn't tell him. I told you first.
You did.
Sorry, honey.
I told the secret.
I told Iris first, because she's my prayer partner.
No, I think also it's because we were on the phone talking when you went to test. So I was already in your space.
And I couldn't be like, so let me give you a call back.
I was already in your space.
So then, of course, I surprised them, and from there, now hope came. So I think the heartwarming, I guess, experience that I've had with my business has been everything that I've been proclaiming has happened in my personal life.
Right.
You can be thinking that whatever you're doing with your hands can't happen to your personal life. Like when you're doing like, if you're single and you have a business, and let's say like your business is decorating, or your business is making flowers, or it's making these beautiful balloon garlands, and you're sitting there making for other brides, other ladies who are getting married, and you're sitting there thinking that, okay, I do this, I'm just doing this business just to do it. No, manifest, like actually speak life to those balloons as you're folding, as you're making those flowers, as you're putting glitter on whatever you're doing. Say, you know what, my day is gonna come. Amen. My day is gonna come. Amen. And it will.
Make a demand on that. Like exactly. As you said, is it not really I don't want to use the manifesting, but it's really calling something that is not as if it were. Exactly. Like really speaking it, because the Bible says there's the power of life and death lies in their own tongue. Life. Yes, that's perfect. No, you're right. No, you're good. You're good. So powerful. It is. Said, you confess over it, and that is such a powerful thing that you do. Yes. Like I know when you're waiting for baby hope, like I believe you had like some like onesies and something that you were praying over. Yes. But that is so powerful how you can connect your business and has purpose, not just for the people but also for myself. Exactly. And I see how like before every cake, like you're praying for you're not just making cakes. No. You're praying over people. Like this is the joy of this cake is really gonna be the joy of your life. Yeah. So man, that's really powerful. Yes. Like again, and it's not about making everything super spiritual. No. And I mean, it doesn't matter if we do that, because everything is spiritual. Yes. You have like God. If God is not being glorified in what you are doing, then are you really doing what God needs you to be doing? Exactly. In everything you do, even as we sit down and eat this cake, how is God being glorified? Exactly. At the end of the day, like we hope that these stories empower you. Yes. We hope that the authenticity, as Glo said, like it helps other women, maybe if you're going through something, or it just uplifts. Yes. Uplifts. How does it used to come out? So, guys, sorry, that question is escaping my mind. I'm so sorry. That's okay. Yes. So, what advice would you give someone who wants to get into entrepreneurship in America, who is a Kenyan and probably who is also a woman? Like, someone who is a wife, a mother, and they are looking to do a business, say whether it's catering, or any other business. What advice would you give them from what you've learned? The first thing I said in the beginning is seek ye first the kingdom. You really have to seek God, because you don't want to go out like you're seeing someone is successful in this, then you say, you know what, I'm gonna jump into that, because you don't know how much that person has invested in terms of money. You don't know how much they've invested in terms of even prayers, because with the cakes has been it had been like a 4-year type of prayer
investment, because every cake I would do would leave my hands. I'm praying for it, that God will increase my skills. So even when it comes to entrepreneurship or other even business as a woman, seek God first and find out, okay, God, do you want me to even get into business? Because maybe you can be wanting to, let's say, make necklaces, and then God is like, no, there's like an email in your email that's requiring you to go to China to teach English. You know, there could be that. It could be that. And you're just stuck there with making necklaces. No, just seek God and ask God, okay, what is it that you want me to do? Because I have gone into catering, and of course COVID happened, but before it happened, I was weeks from actually quitting. I was weeks from quitting, not because that it wasn't working. It was because, like I said, before COVID, I had a wedding. I had 2 weddings in the year. It's just, it got to a place where it was not working for my family. Now, that's the other thing. It has to align with the vision that you and your spouse have set for your family. So if it's I'll use myself as an example. Catering wasn't working anymore for our family. Not just because of cost or anything, because of course, when you get into business, you have to invest in yourself and invest in the business. So I taught myself how to do, in the culinary world, we call it cost control, pricing, all those little details that has to do with business. You have to sit down and work those books out, because in the state of Texas, you can't do anything illegal. You gotta be legal to do some of these things, especially if it's like food that's going into another person's stomach. You have to get, the correct licenses and everything. So after you seek God, do your research. And as you're seeking God, wait. You also have to give God that time to really speak to you. And then do your research if this is what He wants. Like, you do your research in terms of knowing, even if in the state of, if we're living in Texas, if it's even approved for you to do that business here. Because there's so many shortcuts that people love to do, sorry to say, that gets them in trouble. There's a lot of shortcuts that people do, and this is not back home. Back home, you can start something and immediately you start running with it and become successful, and of course later on get the licenses. But here you got to get a license first before you even touch anything. And it's important to know, after you've done your research, then now find out how much you're going to put into it. Are you going to make your family go bankrupt by you starting that biashara?
What's that investment capital?
Exactly. So those are like the 3. I think my advice would be that seeking the kingdom first. So seek God first, then do your deep research and be very honest with yourself. Is it something that you will start and then stop? Is it something that you will start and then later on it becomes hard and then you say, I'm done? I've been doing catering since 2018. And throughout the years, so 18 to 2020, then cakes from 2020, end of 2020 into 2021. But it's not been all bed of roses. It's hard. It's hardships. When you're now in the thick of it, then is that the day you'll say, you know what? I'm done. And then what happens to all the things you invested in? Because you have to really consider, if you're gonna purchase this cake board, then you say you quit. Where is this gonna go? You have to be very honest with yourself. And okay, so granted, yes, I understand that sometimes business do go out of business. I get that. But at the same time, even as you're aspiring to start something, make sure that it's for the long haul, not for the short haul, and that it works with the vision of your family, especially your spouse. Your spouse has to support you 110%. Don't, if you're in marriage, don't do business this is business for my wife, this is business for my husband. There's no blessing in that. Because where God commands a blessing is unity. Unity commands a blessing. So even Wairish, I know you're doing the vlogs. Willie has to be on board on this, and I know he is. So then that's when God commands that blessing, and when He does, that's when now viewership becomes higher. You start doing even more interviews with even bigger people. So when you're united together with your spouse, it even becomes, the fights are less. The fights are less.
That's
So
true.
it's like, what transaction is this I see? There's none of that because
No.
you're as
You're
one.
aligned,
Exactly,
and you're
you're aligned.
talking about it.
Mhm.
I mean, that oneness with your spouse is just so powerful. Like,
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
you cannot walk in this unity and
Yeah.
expect that God will bless that. He does not.
But don't see me here. Let me tell you, it has not been like that from the beginning. We were separated, not separated in business, but I had this idea. He has this idea.
Yeah.
But you have to have a middle ground. But it has
Right.
taken years. It's not
But-
something that it's like an overnight thing.
And that's something
Yeah.
that is so important to note that
Yes,
these things, it doesn't have to be perfect from the beginning.
exactly.
It's the lessons you learn
Yeah.
along the way
It's true.
that make it even that make the most like sense. You
Yes. Yeah.
know, you don't have to be perfect. Like even with
Yeah.
marriage, there's a
Yeah.
lot of mistakes that we do in the beginning. But you
Yes.
keep every year, you keep getting better, you keep getting better, you keep planning. Oh, if I do it this way,
Yeah.
this happens. So I'm gonna avoid doing that and
Right.
actually go this other way.
Yeah.
And the same thing with business too. As you said, you learn. If I price this way, this is what happens,
Yes.
and it doesn't go well.
Right.
Or if I try to make this decision without, being in oneness with my spouse,
Yeah.
it doesn't really go well. So at the end
Yes.
of the day,
Yeah.
like the lessons you're learning along the way, like they really substantiate not just your business, but you as a person.
Exactly.
Because you cannot you cannot separate the two.
Yeah, you can't.
You whatever you do outside the house or in the house, it affects
It does.
the ecosystem of your house.
It's true.
Because if
Yeah.
you're taking 20 cake orders a week, that means you have zero time for your spouse.
Mhm.
But a time will come when you
Oh,
can
yeah.
take all those because you have employees.
Yes.
So this,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. So let me ask you a question as we come to a close.
Right.
What is your why? What is the
Oh.
thing that keeps you going and making more cakes? And what is your why? What's the thing that keeps you going?
I'll say this. My why is I never want anyone to go through what I went through during my wedding
Okay.
with my cake. I'll use cake as an example.
Okay.
Service providers, we can get frustrated in business and take it out on clients.
Oh.
So what happened during my wedding is the person who was doing our wedding cake was one, very rude. We went there with my husband. He was so quick with like the flavors, wasn't explaining anything. But because we kind of, it was like a package with where we were having our reception, and he was so that like he wasn't giving us full details about the flavors. He wasn't kind. He was really rude. No customer service at all. So because of that, even when I opened the catering business, I'm the type of person, I will be the first one there and the last one to leave. Because I want to leave, I don't want to leave a bitter taste about myself to my clients. I love to give that customer service that's above and beyond, which I have to also find a balance too, because you also can't be you don't want to kind of overdo it to a place where even your client kind of gets irritated and is like, oh no, I don't think I'll order from that person.
Or even they take advantage of you.
They take advantage of you, exactly. So for the cakes, I never want anyone to go through, especially when I have brides who come and they sit down and taste the cake and they're looking for a baker for their wedding cake. I never want anyone to go through what I went through. So my why is just that experience I went through at that one given time in 2017 is the reason why I work very hard to make sure that my customer service is above par. And God has really given me that, because one thing I also realized with business is that you can never take the glory. Everything, all the glory belongs to God. The day you take the glory is the day your business shuts down. Like it will fall. It will fall flat on the face. I remember another thing my brother told me, Sam told me like a couple of weeks ago. He said that you don't want to work from your own strength. The day you work from your strength is the day God says, okay,
you don't need me anymore.
You don't need me anymore. It's about giving God the glory and asking God Himself to give you the strength to be able to do what you do. Because I won't lie, I can't even tell you, Rich, how I do it, because it's God. And a lot of times people say, oh, it's because I have this strategy down, I have this system, I have this like program and schedule with my kids. Like I have this and this lined up. No, it's not about that.
It's not.
God is the one who gives you that. Right. He's the one who gave you those kids. He's the one who gave you those hats that you wear very proudly.
Yeah.
So when you actually recognize that there's someone greater than you, and you humble yourself in Him, and even when a client comes and says, "Hey, by the way, X, Y, and Z, this was," you humble yourself and you say, "Yes, I agree with what you said. I'm sorry, this is the experience you went through," and never blame a client. Because I know there's this saying that says that the customer is always right. It's true.
Yeah.
Even if they're wrong, they're right. They are very right. Yes, I am sorry your cake fell. I am coming. I'm coming to fix it. No problem.
Wait, I'm sorry, you dropped the cake.
I am coming to Fort Worth. I am coming. So it's giving that customer service whereby someone will never forget what you've done for them. Wow. Yeah, that's my why.
That's powerful. That's really good, man. And you're doing an amazing job. Like
you said,
I've seen you grow.
Yeah.
And like the level, especially of professionalism. I'm telling you, when I'm ordering a cake from Glo, we ain't buddies. It's a business transaction. Yes. And I love it. I love that because I know there's something I appreciate is people, service providers who have that level of professionalism, because you have to show people how they respect you. Like you have to set those standards.
Yeah.
Whether it's friends, whether it's family, whoever they are. This is business. This is where business starts. This is where friendship ends.
Exactly.
There has to be a delineation. Like if I'm coming to you, I'm a customer.
Yes.
I'm a customer. So the things of like, stop negotiating with your friends.
Like, she said it. I did it.
Don't negotiate with your friends. It's very like you should even be, and we should even be paying more, because we say, well, we're going to support our friends.
Exactly.
This is what we need to do. We need to be supporting our friends.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Or let me say this.
Yes.
How would you like God to take, where would you like God to take you in your, Cakes by Glo?
Definitely, I know the future is very bright. I know for the moment right now, with cakes and even like the strategy with my family, I know it's going to go far. I know unless God says we close, Cakes by Glo is not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
Burnout is there. Overwhelmingness is it's just part of business. It's always gonna be there. But God has given me supernatural strength that I can be able to just go on, keep going. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about when are you hiring, because you just can't be doing this by yourself. Yes, that is in the future. That's definitely in the future. Even as far as a bakery, that's also in the future. God is, let me tell you, I don't move by my own. God is going to say, today's the day you open the bakery. This is the day, hire someone. So in the meantime, I am patient. I'm very patient.
That is so good. That's so good, because from the beginning, it was all about God. It's all about, seeking the kingdom of God first.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, it's not just about in the beginning. It's a continuous thing.
Exactly.
Because as you said, if this is an idea that was that is God, it's a God-given idea. It's a God-given business, and for it to thrive, for it to progress, it's still gonna take God. So we have to keep every day, every time, like, okay, God, what's the next step? How far do you want to take this?
Yes.
How much glory do you want to take from this? Where else? Who other people? Is that a word? Who other people?
So Kenya. It's okay, we forgive you.
Do you want impacted by this? Like, lead me to them. Like, let them locate me, and like you have to continually keep seeking God along the journey.
Yes,
man, I'm so inspired. I'm really, really, really inspired, and like it's really challenged me also to keep asking myself, like, have I involved God? Have I sought the will of God about this channel, and like especially this segment that I want to start.
Yeah.
So I have some thinking to do. I have some thinking to go back and do. Some seeking to do. So finally, what message of inspiration would you like to share with your followers and those who look up to you, to your journey as a successful baker and immigrant entrepreneur?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I think for advice, because I feel like in the age where we live now, there's so many motivational speakers, so many people who actually give you advice. I think the one thing I would say would be first, okay, God, yeah. Number two would be find a mentor, someone who is in the profession that you want to get into. If it's like digital marketing, get a mentor. If it's like business, get a mentor. If it's nursing, get a mentor. If you want to be a doctor, get a mentor. It's honestly everything, even content creation, get a mentor. Someone who's like ahead of you that can tell you, oh, by the way, when you post this and that, okay, maybe don't post that. That way at least you know, they really can guide you. They have, mentors have a way of even like shutting you down when it's like it's not going the right way, or even encouraging you when it's going the right way. I'll say this, sorry, I reference my dad a lot because that's who had my mom and both my parents honestly had been my inspiration. My hard work comes from my mom. She is a trooper at working hard. And of course getting what she wants. She's honestly really good at that. My dad, he said one time when I had adventures with nursing, and I was coming back from Abilene, Texas, deep in Texas, almost 5 hours away, and we were driving, and he saw how discouraged I was because just nursing wasn't working out. And he told me, I was like, you know, one thing, Mokami, you really need to follow your heart. And one thing I'm grateful to God, even as young people, just honor your parents. Because the one thing that they love is, one thing that says that they've accomplished in life is that they fed you. They gave you Jesus. They fed you. They put a roof over your head and gave you education. Even if it's not the path that you want, please honor your parents. Because if I know if I never honored my mom by pursuing what I know she wanted for me to do, I would not get the blessings with my daughters now. It's not even about me. It's literally my kids, my daughters. How respectful my daughter Gabriella is, and how jolly, and how she's learning to become a woman of valor, to be honest. I wouldn't rip those fruits now with her if I never honored my mom back in 2010 in high school. So because I did that, now I'm reaping that benefit. I mean, how many years later? 2023, that was 2010. And when my dad told me to follow my heart, that's when now I asked God. I was like, okay, God, I since I was 14, actually, I've loved everything to do with food. If my parents made me mad, I fried onions, I cooked. And like cooking was like a way of therapy for me. So one advice I would say is it's to follow what the desire that God has put in your heart, because also your heart can lie to you,
can lead you wrong.
Can lead you wrong. So you follow the desire that God has put in you. You ask God for how you want me to do this, and then He goes before you and leads you. You now follow the footsteps of God, and now He leads you. He says, okay, this is the school I want you to go to. This is the classes I want you to take. So that way, when you're not wasting time in school, pursuing a career, or rather a major, that later on you end up being a frustration, or later on you end up saying, this is not what I actually wanted. So when you, from beginning, by the time you're about to graduate high school, like 10th grade, find out the desire God has put into you. Even content creation. I mean, my God, there's so many things out there in the world for you to do that can give you revenue. But I know that now that I'm a mom, I know exactly how my mom felt back in 2010 when she was telling me to pursue this, and I was like, seeing it like, it doesn't make any sense. I know this is where I'm gonna, what I want to do, but there's that parent desire, because when they see you, they see themselves in you. So there's that parent desire, and now I see it when I look at my kids, and I'm like, oh, I have so many desires. Lord, help me. My time. When Gabriella is in high school and she's wanting to pursue something that maybe I'm seeing, like, she might come and stay in my house, which is okay. Hey, stay in my house as long as you want. You're my child. But you also want to be an encouragement to your children, so that way they don't either quit school. They say, I'm done completely with school, because they got so much pressure in terms of like, you have to go to college, you have to do this and that. Okay, I'm not saying don't go to college, go to college. Education is important, because even doing this, I still invested in myself 2022, I still went to school. 2022, in as much as I did YouTube, I still invested in myself by attending online virtual classes of other bakers doing what they do, following so many bakers and learning so many different ways of how to do this. So even in as much as I taught myself how to do cakes, I still am a student. I still humble myself and I sit down under a baker who's established for like 20 years and I listen to what they have to say, because you will learn something. So that's also very important. Education, there's no way around. There's no way around it. You do have to attend school. Even with content creation, you can do digital marketing, so that way you can know how to promote your content. You have to attend a class or two. Because the good thing now, they have online. Everything is online. Everything is virtual. There are so many people out there who have businesses and they have all this experience that they can actually train you, and you can get so much. There's so much information out there, but definitely school is a plus. I think that's what I can add on.
Stay in school. Don't quit. It's very important, but also don't let. I saw a quote somewhere: "Don't let school come in between you and education." So education is important because, as you said, there's so many places you can get education. But if you're young, especially when you haven't, because there are people who know from a very young age, I am meant to be an athlete and this is what I'm going to do. But especially if you haven't figured it out, stay in school. Summer until you can't anymore. Like, just stay in school. And as time goes by, it becomes more apparent to you what it is that God is calling you into. Because honestly, some of us, we didn't know. But as I say, and that's the point, because the question was for young people. That's the point where you really lean into your parents.
Exactly.
Because they are seeing things that you can't see.
You can't see
because you don't even have an idea yourself.
No, exactly.
So just fall back and trust that God is using your parents to lead you in the right direction.
Yeah. And even our parents back when we were growing up, they're also growing up.
They are.
Like my parents, my dad was like in his early 30s when I was born. It's the same thing now with Hope and Gabriella. I'm in my 30s. Do I know how to be a parent? Absolutely not. So they're also, you have to also, when you think of it that way, it's like, by the way, when they did X, Y, and Z, it's not because they hated me. No. It's because they actually loved me.
They did.
And back then, there wasn't as much information now it is, of course, about parenting. Back then, it wasn't there. They did their very best.
They were doing their best.
And what they had seen their parents do. So they put it on us. Exactly. What they had.
We have. And
gotta have grace for our parents.
For another day. But
yes.
We have to forgive our parents. You cannot keep holding off your growth because you were not raised like this. Your parents gave you the best that they could given what they had and what they knew, and that's it. Because let me tell you, that lesson becomes so apparent when you have kids.
You got kids,
because now I think, oh my God, is my child gonna be sitting with a therapist talking about how I raised him wrong or something, while I'm over here thinking I'm doing my very best.
Yeah, exactly.
Release your parents. Let them go. They did their best, and it's for you now to continue your growth. Wherever they are, whatever they did for you, they did their very best. And you have to appreciate them for that. You can't keep reminding them, oh, you never gave me this. Oh, you never gave me that. You never did. So what?
You do it now.
You do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself. Exactly. And then now when you have kids, do it for them.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's another whole topic right there, man. I'm so excited about that one.
I'm excited. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate the cake, the time, the conversation. I feel like we have so much more that we can talk about.
I know.
We'll probably come back for part 2.
We'll come back for part 2.
But thank you once again. This is Chef Glo. She is a beautiful, beautiful friend. She's a great wife and an even better mother and a great friend. And she sings too. She is a great singer. She can sing and she can sing. Man. But please do this is her page right here on Instagram. Please do follow. Order a cake if you're in the DFW area. Definitely. Whatever ideas you have, tell her. She's going to bring it to life. But please show her some love and support. Thank you again for coming and sharing with us.
Yes, thank you. Yay.
Now we can
now we can eat.
That's
Ni sawa.